You're listening to Barbell Logic, brought to you by Barbell Logic Online Coaching, where each week we take a systematic walk through strength training and the refining power of voluntary hardship.
Welcome to the Barbell Logic Podcast. This is Saturday. No, it's not Saturday. It's Thursday question and answer.
That's right. We've changed.
We do this for another year. I'll get that right. And I thought I'd kick off here by reading the latest iTunes review to you. Would you like to hear
excellent. Usually when you read these, they're very pro-Reynolds, very anti-Hambrick.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, that's typically
there are a lot
what
of
you
people
read.
that hate you, too.
Oh,
You're
well
a highly
aware.
polarizing figure.
Oh, I agree. I'm certain.
Yeah. Leave your iTunes reviews. Go leave us a 5-star review at iTunes. That is a big help to us, including this one. It says great lifting info, and it's 5 stars.
Oh, so he gave us a 5-star review. Excellent.
Yep.
Sounds like it's all going to be positive.
Hambrick is utterly intolerable. He apparently is getting positive feedback for spewing nonstop opinions, but the latest episode was unbearable. This arrogant so-and-so spent 15 minutes ranting about a movie he hasn't seen, getting the setting, plot, and theme completely wrong. The podcast is becoming 99% oaky salt and 1% lifting
salt.
info. Yeah, so he's
So they're
referring...
talking about It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Right? Because I did it. Yeah. I love It's a Wonderful Life. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
And then you tried to red pill me out of It's a Wonderful Life to make me hate it.
Yeah.
You ruined. I actually told the story at Family Thanksgiving about how you ruined my favorite movie for me.
I haven't ruined it enough yet.
Robbed me of joy.
Yeah, this guy, I didn't get the setting, plot, and theme wrong. He doesn't understand that whole movie is rhetoric and propaganda. And he saw the setting, plot, and theme that's on top that was put there for stupid people to implant the brainworm in them. And I saw immediately the subtext, which was the main thrust for the producers of the movie. So our friend Will McNeely sent me some info. He says, you're 100% right about that movie. And he sent me some stuff to look at about it. Frank Capra directed that movie. And Frank Capra literally was paid by the United States government during World War II to shoot propaganda films.
Right.
And, he's a great director for sure. I mean, he's the right guy for the job. And he started a little movie studio called Liberty Films. And Liberty Films made 2 movies, and this is one of them. I can't remember the other one. This is one of the movies that studio shot. It won 1 Oscar for special effects because they invented the fake snow in that movie that people still use today.
Okay.
And before then, they'd used bleached cornflakes. But they came up with the snow, and he won he won. But he didn't. The special effects director won the Oscar for it. But they lost their shirt on this movie, and it bankrupted that studio. Nobody liked it. They had problems with the writers leaving. It was panned as communist propaganda, which I did not know. And then a few years later, they failed to renew the copyright. It was of no value to them, and they didn't renew the copyright on the movie. And because they didn't renew the copyright on the movie, all your local television stations could pick that up and play it at no cost to them on the Late Show during the Christmas season. So then young people that stayed up late and watched the Late movie became enamored of this movie, and that's the story of the damn movie.
Yeah.
So, well, there you go.
Yeah. So I'm another one that I like the theme for the dumb people. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. It's a feel good. It's the feel good family movie of the Christmas.
Oh God, these people.
Do you like Elf? Have you seen Elf?
Nah.
You haven't seen Elf?
I hate Will Ferrell. I don't like that kind of humor that's just predicated on making everybody uncomfortable.
I'm not uncomfortable in Elf. It's hilarious.
Well, but that's what he normally does, right?
Yeah, but that's not Elf.
Yeah.
Elf is a sweet, loving movie.
I'm sure it is.
Zoe Deschanel is in it. She's great.
I like her.
She sings in it. She's got a great voice.
I think she and I like the same thing.
You and Zoe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Girls.
Oh, you're so bad.
I think so.
All right. So do you want to answer some questions?
A guy named Gregory says, he sends us some praises, and he wants to thank us for adding the word taint to his vocabulary. And you're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Oh, I did not invent that word.
Have you invented any words?
I probably have, but I don't know what they are. I told my grandpa at Thanksgiving dinner 2 weeks ago, my grandpa Lynn, who has been on the show, I said, Grandpa Lynn, the world now knows about Reynolds exaggeration, and you're the inventor of that. And so I just want to let you know that my staff and all the podcast knows about Reynolds exaggeration. So that's a phrase that is now become in our common vernacular. But I don't know that have you invented any words?
I don't know. Maybe. I'll think about that.
You have one patent, but that's for a box, right?
Yeah.
You just have one patent?
I think so.
Yep. And that's for a cardboard box. It's a nice box. I like your box.
It's the best box.
Your box is my favorite box.
Gregory says, the hook grip on the deadlift feels like it's going to tear my thumb off, and I'm only lifting 280 at the moment, so it's not even heavy. Any recommendations? Should I use an alternate grip or just man up and hope to kill the nerves in my thumb?
Yeah, basically number 2.
Yeah. And I don't think you kill the nerves, right? I don't think the nerve endings get damaged. You just build up some calluses. You build up some calluses, and it just by and by it just gets more tolerable.
Everybody, when they first put a squat bar on their back, is like, boy, that's uncomfortable. Especially if it's a good squat bar with like a bunch of good center knurl. And after a while, you're like, you can't really feel it because you got a big line of callus across the top, above your shoulder blades. So hook grip's kind of the same. What I tell people to do when they're trying to learn how to hook grip is to hook every single rep of all your warm-ups, the ones that don't hurt, and go a little bit heavier each time you deadlift. And then if you want to switch to an alternate grip for your top sets or even straps for your top sets, but make sure that the hook grip gets a little heavier each week. Before you know it, you'll be hooking and you'll be cashing checks. Hooking and cashing checks.
You'll love it.
You hook grip ever? You ever hook grip?
I have. I don't make a practice of it. I've hooked as heavy as 425 for 5, I think, and that's no fun. But I don't care. I'm not going to compete. I don't have a big dog in the hunt there. I don't really care.
I mostly pull straps now, which I probably shouldn't. I've pulled 635 with a hook grip. I've never pulled heavier. I don't think I've ever pulled heavier than 635. So, I've never pulled a PR with a hook grip. All my PRs were alternate grip.
Yeah,
PRs.
I pulled.
But here's what I'll tell you: I'll never alternate grip again.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm terrified. I'm like, dude, I've torn all the muscles on my body except my biceps.
Yeah, I'm afraid of it.
So what's that
too.
asking for?
I did that meet thing with Charity down there at Deaton's gym, and no straps, right? And I wasn't going to pull 500 with a hook grip, and I pulled it with alternate grip. I was a little bit worried about it. Nothing happened. I didn't tear anything.
Well, so your deadlift stopped at your tibial bump.
It's really a halting deadlift.
And shook. And I'll tell you, when I saw the video, you know where my eyes went?
Where?
To your bicep tendon on your supinated hand.
Well,
it did. I immediately looked at it. I was like, oh.
Right.
Here it goes, but it didn't.
No.
So, look, the hook is a lot safer. Yes, it hurts. You'll get used to it. I ever tell you the story about Will McNeely, my buddy that was co-owned Strong with me? He was hook gripping, and he had freshly cut his fingernails one morning. When you first cut your fingernails, they're kind of sharp on the edges, because we're guys. We don't. What's that thing that Emery board?
Right.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it is. I've never used one of those. So, I've had it used on me. Like pedicure places.
Right. That's fine. Charity goes to this place, and it's Henry and Lou own it, a married couple. They're Vietnamese.
Yes.
And I'm like, Henry, your name's really not Henry, is it? He said, no. and I said, well, what's your name? He said, you can call me Henry.
Right. I know what his last name was, though.
Nguyen. Nguyen.
NG.
It's actually not.
It's like Patel. It's
actually not.
So Will had freshly cut his thumbnails, all his fingers, and he had sharp thumb edges, and hook gripped pretty heavy, because Will's a strong dude. I don't remember what he hook gripped, 500, 550, something like that. And he got done, and the edges of his thumbs the edges of his thumbnail had cut all around his actual thumb, and he was just bleeding profusely from both thumbs. He had these they had sliced his thumb open.
His thumbnail cut a smiley face on the thumb nail was attached to. Yeah.
Correct. That's exactly right. That's exactly what happened.
Ow.
And I had never seen that before.
I can
I don't think I've ever seen it since. But yeah, so that's a 20-minute answer to a question about the hook grip. There you go, Gregory. By the way, Gregory, weird name if you're from the U.S., perfectly acceptable name if you're from England.
Over here in the U.S., we would only call somebody Gregory if they were in trouble. Gregory, you'll need to go to the principal's office right now. So you need to transition to Greg as soon as possible.
If he's from the States, but if he's I think it's a perfectly acceptable name if he's British.
I don't know about that. We got a guy here named Scott.
Sir Gregory. That's a fucked up name. What kind of people name their kids Scott?
Hillbillies. So this gentleman says he hurt his shoulder on week 5 of LP. And he says he was hoping to not stall out until he could lift heavier. Blah, 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 blah. And he said that his coach, he's in Germany, by the way, and so he doesn't have any access to any of our colleagues. But he says his coach had recommended that he use the safety squat bar. And he's like, "Am I okay?" Or are they gonna have to say? He says, "Or can we? Are they gonna have to take me out back and shoot me like a racehorse?" He doesn't want to go to the doctor. He's now doing these high bar squats with the safety bar, and it's a bummer.
Sure.
And he's just, it's a word salad here, but he's generally just bummed out because it happened to him so early in his LPE.
Sure. I think a safety squat bar is fine, dude, for a little bit.
Safety squat bar is fine. If you really did hurt your AC joint, you probably weren't shrugging in your press.
Yeah, I was going to say, you do need to continue to bench press and press, but make sure you do it correctly. So I don't know who your coach is. I don't know if he's with us or if he's got an in-person coach that's there. It's not with us. You got to make sure they know how to teach you how to bench press and press. Like Darren Deaton says, that motion is lotion. You've got to move through full range of motion, but in a squat, in a low bar squat position where you're holding the bar the way we teach it, that shoulder's pretty well pinned down. The humerus and shoulder connection's pretty well, it's about as tight as it can get.
Yeah, the low bar squat tends to decrease the space between the acromion and the head of the humerus. We may create some impingement syndrome with that over time, right? When it gets really heavy.
There is no doubt that I have some infraspinatus impingement on my right side when I really lock in tight on a squat. It doesn't bother me that bad on a squat, but this is another reason I don't do full body days. I do lower and upper. I can go from squat, my shoulder can hurt a little bit. I can deadlift and it tractions the thing out and it feels fine. But if I just squat and then press, nope.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be okay.
So a few tips. You need to bench press and you need to press. When you press in particular, I want you to reach for the sky. I want you to touch at the lockout. I want you to touch your deltoids to your earlobes. You want to get a big stretch on there. I think when people hurt their shoulder, they tend to want to short stroke it. They don't want to go all the way up. That's actually not good. We want those shoulder blades to rotate all the way up.
Even before that, they'll flare their elbows out to the sides before they even get to lockout. So the elbows must stay forward as long as possible.
And keep your elbow under your hand.
That's right.
Don't let the elbow flare out.
And then big shrug. So elbow forward, and then big shrug at the top. And really that's we're talking about the press, but it's the same for the bench press. Elbow stays forward. You don't shrug at the top on a bench press, but the elbow stays forward not just during the descent, but in the ascent as well. The elbow is always going to be slightly forward of the wrist.
I ain't a doctor and I can't see you, but I would suspect that you just probably bruised the head of your bicep, and it'll go away. Take some anti-inflammatories, do everything correctly. It'll go away, 12 days, 14 days, something like that. It's probably not bad.
Might have already gone away because the guy probably asked the question a month ago.
But best of luck to you, man. Don't let it discourage you. Chris says, could you briefly walk through the do's and don'ts of sharing a bench rack platform at a public gym? When is it okay to ask someone to work in, and when should you leave it alone? How much of a weight differential is reasonable, etc.?
Ugh. I understand this question. I actually think it's probably a good question. So first off, I think the first thing we need to do is we need to make the plea for, if you can train at home, you should train at home. This is why you should have your own rack. But some of you live in big cities and you live in a 800 square foot apartment and you can't train in your 800 square foot apartment.
Yeah, but all the food choices.
But all the food choices
in the big city. It's awesome.
Yeah. So what would you do? How much experience do you have on this?
more than you'd
Not a lot?
think.
Okay,
You know,
good.
I did the LP stuff in the gym God, I don't know, a year.
Yeah.
You know, but I always had a training partner. We always got there very early, and since I had a training partner, we shared equipment typically. And
Sure.
I don't think a weight differential means that much. The bigger problem is difference in size.
Height.
Yeah, like if
Height.
you're really short or really tall, and the other guy that you're trying to work in with is different, that's going to cause problems. And I
would not ask to work in on a squat rack if I was a foot taller than the person who was squatting.
And it depends on the person too.
If I'm a male, I wouldn't ask to work in if it was a female.
Right.
I just think it's bad manners.
Yeah,
but if you are generally the same height, similar height, and you can squat with it, if you don't, let me put it this way: if you don't have to change the J cup position, then I think it's perfectly okay to ask to work in. Say, hey, I'm going to squat too. Would you mind if I worked in with you? And then here's the key: if they had the rack first, it's your job to do significantly more work changing the weights in and out than them.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a 50-50 deal. Now, they may let it be that way, but that's their choice, not yours. If they're squatting with 185 and you're squatting at 255, you take their 25 off on both sides, you put the 45 on, you put the 10 on, you do your squats, and then you take both 10s off, both 45s on, and put the 25 back on. And if they decide to help you on one side, then you thank them.
Yeah.
Now, likewise, if somebody asks you to work in and you're on a squat rack and you're squatting and they don't have, and I would ask them, the first thing I would say, well, do you have to move the height? Can you squat from the same height that I'm squatting from? If they say yes, sure. You should let them work in. And say, what weights are you going to work at? And they'll tell you, say, okay. And then you should offer to do 50% of the work. I just think it's the right thing to do.
Or, hey, dude, I got 2 more sets.
Right. I'll be done in 7 minutes.
7 minutes here, Bubba.
That's right.
But
also fine.
It also depends.
Both of those are acceptable answers.
It also depends on what they look like. Like there are some people you're like, you know what? This guy over here, he's doing 46 movements. He's a bro. He's a lunatic. I'm just not even going to even try. I'm not even going to ask.
Or like if I ask him to work in, he's going to ask for my cell phone number. He's going to kill my cat tomorrow, right? He's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be a high maintenance friend. You got to have a radar for high maintenance friends. We don't need any more high maintenance friends. If you work out together and then this guy's like, hey bro, you want to go get some Chipotle afterwards? Nope. No. That's not what I'm looking for.
I got friends looking for paying customers. Catch you next time.
That's right.
Here a guy has a question about lean gains. Andrew says, my question is about the clean. I get that it's not required, but I do it every once in a while just to see where it is, and it keeps improving in the absence of training. But at this point, my press is well ahead of my power clean. So my question is it important to get my clean number up, or should I clean just for the sake of doing so? Not to boost the deadlift, not to be more explosive, but simply because I can't clean more than I press. Is that important?
No.
I don't think it's that important.
By the way, I don't mind you doing the clean, right? So we kind of get the reputation of me guys that don't like to clean.
Let me read this guy's numbers. Actually, this is interesting. He's male. He's 29. He's 6 feet tall, 275. He's been training for a year and a half. I assume these are all 1 RMs. Squat 515, deadlift 550, press 235, bench press 310, clean 210.
Okay, he's fine.
Yeah.
Who cares, man? Dude, you're strong.
You're super strong. Like pick something else.
By the way, he's very similar to. So, I coach Harry Fafutis out of one of our block coaches who lives in Guadalajara.
Oh, I thought he was one of these Vietnamese guys we were talking about.
No, in fact, he is a Mexicano, and he is a great dude. Got to hang out with him. We've got to go actually hang out in Mexico with Harry. Harry actually got to go to Harry coaches, I won't say the guy's name, but he coaches an ex-NBA star who is a block client, big tall guy. And they played an NBA preseason game, something like that, in Mexico City this weekend. And this NBA star who is ex-star, who is a commentator or coach, I think he's like head of the players. I don't know. He's something for one of the teams. So he's management for one of the teams. Got Harry and his brothers floor side seats to to NBA game. Now, you and I are both not sports fan, but that's kind of cool. Like sitting literally, I mean, they were literally on the front row with their feet on the basketball court in Mexico City. It was kind of cool. Anyway, you got to go do that. Harry has been doing an upper lower split, and I need to increase his work volume after his first 2 lifts. So like he squats, and then he does some sort of squat, and then some sort of deadlift, and then something. Let me tell you a little secret. The thing that happens after doesn't really matter. It needs to happen because I need volume.
It needs to work.
Could it be good mornings? Yes. Could it be heavy prowler? Yes. Could it be power cleans? Yes. So I started talking to Harry. I was like, what do you want to do? He's like, I want to do power cleans because I was having to do good mornings. He's like, I hate these good mornings. Can I do power cleans? Sure. I don't care. We just need to do some more volume. So Harry has really similar numbers to this guy. Harry's got a mid 500 squat. Harry's got a 600-pound deadlift. And Harry's doing power cleans at like 235. And it's about the work volume. It's about just getting the work in, playing with the movement, having fun, getting a little extra volume. Do it, man. This is the kind of guy who it's perfectly fun to power clean. Do you need to focus on the power clean until it passes your press? No. Here's the deal. If you power clean once a week for fun at the end of your workout, it will pass your press in about 5 weeks. Because what's this guy deadlift? 550, you said? And he's power clean in 210? Yeah, in 5 weeks, he's going to power clean 250.
Yeah.
And then he's going to power clean 265. You said he presses 235, something like that? Yeah. It's coming.
Who cares? Pick something else you could work on. I mean, it's just
right.
It's like throwing a dart at the wall. Like, oh, okay, we landed on the power clean square. We'll power clean. Who cares? Yeah, it's weird. You think about it. Like, we consider the power clean an accessory movement because it's not competitive, right? Well, and hear me out on the philosophy here. I will program, so think about like back movements. I'll program things like chins or pull-ups or lat pull-downs or barbell rows or croc rows. How long can you get better at those things if you do them every single upper body workout for whatever, right? I don't think you can get better at them 4
that
weeks.
long. Right, and so then I rotate the movement. So probably what will happen with him with power cleans, because he's not a competitive Olympic weightlifter who isn't the singular goal of your training isn't to increase your clean and your snatch, then he'll power clean for 4 to 6 weeks. It'll improve for 4 to 6 weeks, and then go to something else, man. Right. Do an RDL. Do a whatever. It doesn't matter. It's an accessory movement to get more volume, a little more hypertrophy, a little more work capacity, and it'll be fine. So just don't overthink it.
I had a crazy dream last night.
You did.
Crazy, you were not.
Okay, good. You know what they say? When you dream about somebody, that's your id being like,
oh, what is it?
I want to sleep with this person. Even if it's completely non-sexual, even if it's like, hey, we were building a house together.
Well, he says the dreams are product of your own mind. And necessarily every character in the thing is really you. You created the whole thing. And it's really all about you. But this is a crazy dream. I had a crazy dream that these people were trying to kill me and Charity. And we were like fleeing.
Clearly.
Like, what the hell why are these people trying to kill us? Well, come to find out, this is grandiose and super weird. This is a dream that only I could have, I think. Somebody had found out that we were like some of the last people of the Habsburg line. And that we were like, somebody was going to, like, these Habsburgs were going to resurrect their Austrian Empire.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
And they didn't want us.
I don't know I don't know who the Habsburgs are.
Oh, jeez. So the Habsburg family.
Wait a minute. Are we going to have to cut out this because there's like this weird historical like hole in my knowledge?
No, you went to American schools and they don't care about,
Do you know that I actually have a degree in history and I don't know who the Habsburgs are? You saying that a person who has a degree in history should know who the Habsburgs are?
Yes.
I have never heard of the Habsburgs. Trent, if you've heard, here's the deal. Trent, if you've heard of the Habsburgs, cut this out of the podcast. If you haven't heard of the Habsburgs, you can leave it in.
Listen.
I don't want 14 emails from people being like, you dumbass, how do you not know who this is? The Rothschilds? Right. You never heard of them? No, I've heard of those guys, but I haven't heard of the Habsburgs.
The Habsburgs occupied the throne of the Holy Roman Empire from 1438 to 1740.
Oh, my goodness.
King of Spain, Holy Roman Emperor, King of the Romans, King of the Germans, King of Italy, King of Castile, Aragon, Valencia, Spain,
Okay.
Portugal.
I feel like I should know that then.
Maybe.
Why don't I know that? Okay.
King of England for a time
So
was Habsburg.
your dream was you were among the chosen line of the Habsburgs.
Right. And I
somebody
didn't know
found
this.
that out. And you were like, oh my God, I didn't even know.
I didn't even know. And they were like trying to kill us because the Habsburgs were trying to
You're like, Charity's
reclaim.
Native American. How could she even be?
Right. And they were trying to kill us. And I'm like, look, we'll just abdicate. Like, I don't care. I'm not interested. And they're like, no, you got to fucking go.
Throne.
Like, I will renounce any claims to any,
I'm out. I just want to live in Oklahoma.
Because me being who I am, I'm like, man, the EU, like we just need the resurgence of the Habsburgs and just throw out the EU.
Or I just assumed you would just follow Brexit and they're just be like, we're out. We're also out.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's see, Alfred the Great of England.
Yeah.
Habsburg.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah,
I think
there was
that's
a lot of
right.
intermarrying going on back then. That was the deal, right?
Yeah. I think the most powerful family maybe that has ever lived. And
Yeah. Have you seen Braveheart?
No.
I ask you in every episode if you've seen X, and the answer is always no. But you have seen Braveheart?
No.
You haven't seen Braveheart?
I've seen The Patriot.
The scene of The Patriot where he hatchets the dude to death, that's a pretty good scene.
Yeah.
He's chasing the guy and then he grabs him and they land in the ditch and he takes out, not an axe, a hatchet.
Right.
And the blood's just pouring. So, yeah. So in Braveheart, there's the scene where the king is dying. He hates William Wallace. And his son is an effeminate character who is married to the queen. And the queen is pregnant with William Wallace's son. And she leans down in the king's ear and he's dying. It sounds like he's dying tuberculosis. Like he's got
Longer.
Yeah, it's just all full of fluid. And she bends down and she whispers in his ear and she says, "A baby grows inside of my belly that is not of your line.
Mm-hmm.
Your son is weak and he will not last." And it's, God damn, it's such a good movie. And so, she tells him on his deathbed that William Wallace's kid is inside of her.
That's nice.
And that your son's gonna get his throat slit. It's pretty good. It's a great movie. Long. It's like 4 hours or something. Good movie though.
Yeah, so I'm the kind
Thank
of person
God you didn't ruin that one for me. At least that one didn't go like It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
Braveheart you're okay with, huh?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay,
I haven't seen it.
Yes. It's good. It's pretty good. They draw and quarter him at the end.
Right. One of my best friends, his middle name was Wallace, and he was a descendant of William Wallace.
Oh, that's cool.
And Chief of the Cherokee, John Ross.
Wait, he was a descendant of William Wallace and Chief of the Cherokee?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Did the Scots come in and intermarry with the Cherokee?
Oh, well, they're poor people in the South.
Right.
Yeah. Macintosh.
Hold on. So I think I told. So I went to the eye doctor 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I guess we've talked about this and I didn't remember, but my eye doctor sits down, good looking dude.
He looks like a white Will Smith, by the way.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
But very clean cut. All eye doctors have glasses. I'm always like, I always wonder if you really need glasses if you're an eye doctor. Even if you don't, it's like, oh, it's a zero prescription, but I'm an eye doctor, so I got to wear glasses. And he said, oh, well, I guess, so we have some mutual acquaintances. And I said, we do? He said, yeah, Scott and Charity Hambrick. I said, well, I wouldn't call Scott and Charity acquaintances. Right. The guy's my podcast partner. He's one of my closest friends. He said, I'm Charity's cousin. Now, the interesting thing was, and I think part of it was the glasses, because they both wear glasses. I clearly see a familiarity in the face between this guy and your wife. But there isn't an ounce of Native American in this guy.
No, he's not from that group.
Oh, he's not?
No, okay. That's Charity's paternal.
Your wife looks like she's about 85% Native American.
Yeah, no, that's Charity's
paternal.
Now,
I know she isn't that much, but she looks that. But I'm like, you would never think that this guy had an ounce. I was like, really? Your cousin's with Charity?
Yeah, he's a cousin on the maternal side and all the...
Okay, and her maternal... So, wait a minute. So, her mom isn't... Oh, it's funny, because her mom actually has... Charity's mom actually has...
She's dark complected.
Yeah, you would think that if she was like, yeah, I've got some Native American in my background, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but it's not her. It's her dad.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Charity and I went to the grocery store Saturday, and turn the radio on, like actual FM radio on in the truck. And there's a local college station up here. I turned it on there because they always have weird shit on. I listen.
Yeah.
And they have an all Cherokee radio show on Saturday mornings. It's just all Cherokee. And it sounds like English, like run backwards.
It's music or is it talking?
Yeah, it's talk and music.
And they're actually speaking Cherokee.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody spoke Cherokee.
Yeah, Charity's grandparent,
even
Charity's
in Oklahoma.
granddad does. Charity has a little bit. Her brother, who's 4 years younger, has even less. And then they have but yeah. And there were two guys speaking, and they do this. They continually acknowledge. So a guy's talking and he's telling a story. The other guy's going, And anyway, these guys are talking, and they have all these sort of voice mannerisms and patterns and stuff that Charity's grandparents have. You know, it was
like it reminds you of
her grandpa Haskell.
Yeah.
You know, he talks. They laugh the same way. They got that same cadence. You talk to her granddad. He's
right.
Yeah, really interesting.
But by the way, I think the eye doctor made the connection. I think Charity's younger brother is John.
Yeah.
Is that it? So John, who is a fan of the show, and you've got him lifting, and he's strong.
Yep.
Somehow he and my eye doctor, Dr. Corey, had connected, and Dr. Corey was like, "Oh my God, like what's happened to you? Like you look jacked," and you know. And of course, he told the same story about you, about knowing you, Scott, when you were in high school.
Yeah.
But he was like, he was just a string bean. Guy was just a little, little tiny string bean guy. But he's like, John, he's like, I saw John. And John, he was like, oh my God, John's like jacked. He's like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, I'm doing the Scott and Charity, or I'm training at their house. And somehow they made the connection to, and he's like, yeah, he's like, and there's this podcast, Barbell Logic and Matt Reynolds. And he was like, Matt Reynolds, he's like, that guy's my eye
You mean
patient.
that guy with that big head? Like the red
Which is weird because you think about, I go to the place that he's an eye doctor at is probably the most popular eye place in town. And I mean, that guy probably sees 35 or 40 patients a day.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
And I see him once a year. And he's like, Matt Reynolds, yeah, that guy's my client. I was like, wait a minute. That's how I'm a memorable guy.
Right.
See, I don't know if it's looks or that my first name's Ryan, like I'm Ryan Reynolds, like the actor, or it's the red face.
It's all the damage to your retinas from your high blood pressure.
Oddly enough, my eyes are in incredible shape. Now I'm blind.
Right.
But I pay the extra money to have them take a picture of the back of my, is it the retina?
Yeah.
Is that what they take a picture of or whatever? And they look at all that and they can be like, and so he broke that down for me. He's like, your eyes are in great shape, actually. So outside of the fact that
going
my
for you.
prescription is negative 5.25.
Bifocals yet?
Nope. I can read perfectly up close. As a matter of fact, I'm in a great season of my life right now where I can take my contacts out. I can see nothing 3 feet away and beyond.
Right.
But a book I can hold in my face, and it is perfect, which means I can read with my contacts out, and there's no distractions. Like, an airplane could crash.
Right.
And I couldn't see it. I could hear it. I'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah, my prescription is not that strong, but I'm nearsighted, even though that's fading. I got my bifocals now. But makes the world small. Everything out there is foggy. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Weird. Have we answered 2 questions? How many questions have we answered?
That's constantly.
We used to do that all the time. You would talk, and I would, and then that's bad pod. So I had to cut that out.
That language is not going to make it. They don't have a lot of new words.
Right.
So they're like talking along, blah, 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 technical school, blah, 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 mechanic, blah, 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 Chicago, because they don't have words for like more modern things.
Yeah.
So I think that I could listen to that and eventually get it. Like if I just listened to an all Japanese radio show, I would never learn Japanese.
Right. Sure.
But they have enough words in there. And then they would play songs, They would play like a gospel song that and it would be all Cherokee. Like, I think I could make the circle be unbroken. I mean, I think I'd get there, It's pretty interesting. So I told Charity, I was like, I'm going to wake you up every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. You're going to be listening to this stuff.
That's right.
You're going to have to do that.
We're going to pass it down to the kids.
She was like, why? I'm like, because that just sounds oppressive.
All right, next question.
Adam says, I listen to your podcast all the time, and he was curious. Thank you for listening, Adam. He says he was curious about what experience we have with MS patients. His mom is 58 and has primary progressive MS, multiple sclerosis. She is not very mobile and has lost all muscle strength. I would like to get her a coach and train, but just curious if y'all have worked with MS patients before. Yes, my mother-in-law has MS.
Yep. And?
She can train.
Yep.
It won't be heavy in the beginning, but it will get heavier. And MS manifests itself in all kinds of different ways. Sometimes they have grip strength trouble. Sometimes they have vision and hearing trouble. All kinds of things can happen, and it's different from person to person. But there is something that she can do that would render her stronger. She will certainly have her challenges, and she will certainly have challenges with recovery. But she can darn sure do it. My mother-in-law, her MS is, if there is such a thing, ain't that bad, if there is such a thing.
Right.
But, she can squat in the 150. She's in her, she's a little older than your mother here. And any day of the week, she can squat 160 to 170 for 5. She can pull something like
Pretty
that.
good.
Yeah. And she doesn't get to train as frequently as we would like, or even that she would like. But those are pretty darn good numbers for a lady in her 60s. And your mom can certainly get stronger than she is now. You just need to find somebody that's conscientious and has a little bit of experience with people with challenges. There's nothing terribly unique about the MS challenges. They're just a little brittle. They have a little trouble with motor skills sometimes. They'll have times when they're having a flare up, right? They have more lesions than other times. And when they're in one of those sort of down cycles, things are more challenging than we'd like for them to be. But that's okay. That's okay. Get her ass in there. It'll keep her alive longer. Unless you don't like her, and then don't tell her about it.
But he's emailing, so I assume he wants to help.
Yeah, I assume so. But, it's not always like we think it would be.
That's true.
You want another one, Matt?
Sure.
Chris says he's a big fan of the show, and thanks us for that. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. He says, much attention is given to the 4-day split for an intermediate program with 2 upper and 2 lower days. Would there ever be an appropriate time to program a 6-day split? I don't see any reason to go to a 6-day split. If you can do a 6-day split, your stuff's not heavy. And if it's heavy, you can't do a 6-day split.
What kind of split does he want?
Oh, he's saying that would give a 6
upper
days.
Upper lower, like 3 lower body days and 3 upper body days.
I don't think you need to do that. If you are a, that's not what we do. First off, we train people for strength, health, performance as the primary thing, and aesthetics as a byproduct. If you are a competitive bodybuilder, like you're way past, and when I say competitive bodybuilder, I don't mean like a novice or an intermediate, because I mean like a real no shit competitive bodybuilder, like you've already gotten really strong and you've just decided for whatever reason to just get as big as possible, and there's got to be a lot more volume. Like maybe you do that, but people that listen to our show aren't bodybuilders. So if that's you, there's a whole bunch of bodybuilding podcasts out there. That's just not for us. So for strength, no, you need more recovery than that. For bodybuilding, you're going to break your body part splits up apart, break those apart. You can do that. I'll tell you something I've been moving to a little bit for some of my more advanced guys. 4-day a week workouts, but not upper body split. We do the whole body every time.
All 4 days.
Mm-hmm. Squat, bench press, deadlift. Squat, bench press, deadlift, right? For example, on and on and on.
Right.
That way, each of those lifts is a little fresher, and they can get a little more tonnage. For the upper and the lower for the week that way. I don't think you're going to gain anything for strength training unless you're a very, very advanced athlete by adding 2 workouts in the week. I just don't think you're going to get anything there.
Yeah, I do think there are some really advanced powerlifters and strength athletes who could do 5 days, but it's pretty rare to be able to do 6.
Yeah. We do kind of a DUP thing where somebody squats 4 times a week on a 4-day-a-week workout. I mean, you can get a lot of frequency with 4 training sessions a week. Hey, if you train at home and you just love it, go crazy, man.
Sure. Yeah, and I think if you were doing if you're one of those people that like I can only train them on lunch hour, so I can only do a 40-minute workout, so 1 lift a day. Could you do 6 days a week? Yeah, you probably could. You probably could do that. 1 lift a day, 6 days a week. But I mean, those are weird, like outline problems. So it's probably not you. Let's do one more.
All right. Rick says, "Hey guys, I love the show. Thank you, Rick. Thank you for it's at the end of the year, by the way. Thank you for everybody that listens.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. Matt,
Yes.
there's all kinds of competition out there. You know, if you're an electrician, you're certainly competing with all the other electricians in your town, right? That's like
Correct.
intra-industry competition.
Sure.
But in the thing that we're doing here, and even with the strength training, there is inter-industry training.
Correct.
Like for podcasts, we're competing with all the other podcasts, of course. We're competing with Netflix.
All the other podcasts. Obviously.
Fuck those guys. And
Right. TV, sports.
Hey, children's sports. When you're at your kid's soccer game, you probably shouldn't be listening to the podcast.
I think you should be.
Man,
Why not?
I don't know.
Hey, listen. Do you know what I do when I go to gymnastics competitions for my daughters?
Right? You listen to our podcast?
No, but I listen
Not
to
a fan.
podcasts.
Not a fan.
I never listen to our podcast.
Not a fan. But you get the point. Like going out to
Right.
dinner with your wife is a competition for the podcast. And by the way, go to dinner with your old lady.
Yeah, that's more important. Do that one.
But if anybody that listens
Anything that vies for your time.
has picked us over just
a bunch of
the
other stuff.
panoply of possibilities.
Wow, that's a great word.
Thank you. And thanks for doing that. And
Agreed.
we need to do a better job of honoring that choice for you guys.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Rick says, I hear you guys use the term pretty damn strong, and I'd like to think I'm becoming that. Can you quantify it for me? I'm 41, 5'7", 215 pounds. He's been training for 14 months. He squatted 280, 135 press, 180 bench, and 310 deadlift. He says, although I'm the strongest I've ever been, and my quality of life is the best I've ever been, I'm wondering if that's pretty damn strong.
No,
I don't think so.
sorry, bro.
Hey, you're doing good.
Great.
You're doing
yeah,
good.
You're doing fine. Say his numbers again. What's his squat?
I already deleted it. It was 280.
Oh, 280.
Yeah.
So, I think pretty damn strong for a guy is that you have to be able to lift more than my wife and your wife.
Mm.
So you all of your lifts are a little less than me and Scott's wives. So,
Man, that 200, 300, 400, 500 thing is pretty
great
close.
thing to shoot for.
I think it's a little aggressive, actually.
For pretty damn strong.
Yeah.
I
Like
agree.
if you're a 40-year-old guy and you didn't get started, like you're 42 and you didn't get started on this till you're 40, 200, 300, 400, 500 is going to take you a number of years.
Yeah, but even back off 50 pounds on each of those, like 150, 250, 350, 450.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn strong.
Yeah.
For a guy in his 40s.
A guy in his 40s that can pull 405, that can squat 350 whenever he wants to, that can bench press 225 to 250 maybe.
Yeah,
He's doing pretty
I agree.
darn good.
Bench press 150. Anything over the 135 range.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Not bench press.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, press.
And you can certainly get a whole lot stronger than that, but it takes some pretty serious commitment for a guy that got started with the sport in his 40s to get up to that 2, 3, 4, 5 number. One of my best buddies trains with me on Tuesday mornings, 0900. We get out there and train together, and he's been doing this for I don't know how long he's been doing it. He's maybe been doing it a year now, and he's an intermediate, and he's getting a PR about every 3 to 4 weeks or something like that at this point, doing his programming. And he's stronger than he ever thought he could be. He had some lower back injuries throughout his life. He's had I think he's had a cervical spine fusion. He's had all kinds of back troubles. And he started deadlifting. He felt better than he ever thought he could, And he was scared of picking up heavy things. Well, now his volume day on his deadlift's 315 for sets across and stuff, and he's doing great. And he said the other day, he's like, man, I just can't believe I can even do this shit. It's just astounding to me that I could get this heavy, And then I'm the strongest guy that he trains with because he's new to it and he doesn't have anybody else doing it with him. I'm like, man, I'm not that strong. I'm pretty damn strong, like our phrase there. And I was like, the 200, 300, 400, 500, I'm like, you can do that. He's like, no way. I'm like, 100%, you can do it. It's just how long? How long is it going to take you?
Sure.
I think he's 40. He's 48 now. I'm like, you can do it. It's just how long is it going to take and how much do you care? And he's like, no way. So he went home. We finished up that day. He came back the next Tuesday. He's like, I think I can do that.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and it requires there needs to be a little bit of a paradigm shift there. Like, I totally understand why somebody wants to be qualified as pretty damn strong, but the reality is if you just keep making progress, one day you will be.
You bet.
So this is not about a comparison. Like, am I pretty damn strong compared to all the other people who are doing this of my age and demographic, like whatever it is? Like that, I understand why people ask that question. Listen, I do the same thing. I've been competitive in powerlifting and strongman, and everybody wants somebody else to compare themselves to. But in this world of strength, the goal is just progress. If you keep making progress and setting PRs, right, and the greatest metric of progress is if you're setting PRs. If you keep setting PRs, one day you wake up and you're pretty damn strong.
Yep.
And you look back and you're like, well, that took a while. And it did, right? But
if you keep setting PRs, you'll definitely be as strong as you can be at some point.
Sure. Like every time you set a PR.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Guys that aren't what I will call average stature or above. If you're a gentleman who's 5'4" and weighs 180, which is a real good body weight at 5'4",
sure.
185, 2, 3, 4, 5 might be tough.
Sure.
That number, all these numbers are relative. All these numbers are relative.
Except for William and Ely, which we already named once on this podcast.
He's a
Will's
freak.
5'2".
Is he really 5'2"? Are you exaggerating?
He might be 5'3". I don't know. He'll text me and be like, "Bro, I'm 5'5".
The thing about Will
Reynolds
McNeely and Andy Baker's the same way.
Yeah,
those guys, their arms just got these huge freaking arms,
huge arms, huge legs, and very short arms and short legs.
Yeah,
and a long torso.
Thick muscle bellies.
Will has
great.
a over 300-pound press, over 400-pound bench press, 600-pound squat, 600-pound deadlift. That's at 5'2".
Range of motion.
At 165. Dude, he had a 410 paused bench press at 165 in powerlifting, and for sure on my kids' lives has never taken performance enhancing drugs. The guy was just he was just built to be that guy.
His range of motion on his bench press is 3 7/8 though.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Man, we have to read another one because I'm having
all right.
fun.
One more, last one.
Mark says, "This is Mark from Kauai. Remember Mark?
Oh yeah, of course.
He says, "I know you're not." He says, "I know you're not doctors."
That is true.
He says he tried to squat 215 today on his first set. He got 3 reps easy, but felt a pinch on the 4th and pain on the 5th. It only occurred grinding out of the hole, and I only felt it on the squat. The location was the upper right groin, almost between my junk and my appendectomy scar. My wife thinks it's a hernia, but I can't feel a lump. Again, with your experience, what would your thoughts be? If it was I ain't a doctor, but I think if it was a hernia, you could cough and you could feel it. You could go do a little test for the inguinal hernia.
Yeah, there are hernias that don't show up. As most listeners of our podcast know, I've had 5, and they all showed up immediately. So I don't know what a hernia feels like or looks like that you can't see. Like when I got a hernia, like I remember the very first hernia I ever got, I was in the 8th grade moving a piano, and I felt the pain right there. Got between where your appendix is and your junk. And I ran to the bathroom and pulled my shorts down, and I had a ping pong ball, like a half a ping pong ball sticking out of my bladder area. I was like, oh God, what? And I didn't even know what a hernia was in the 8th grade. That's 1991. So I went and got the medical book. Did you guys have those at the house? Like
right.
There's no internet.
Right.
So you had the medical book that you would look at it. It would have like boils on it, or like you could look at syphilis and see what syphilis looked like. There were all these like.
Do I have syphilis?
I was like, what is this thing? Oh man!
Go to the GP, dude. That's an easy one to check out.
Yeah, just go to a doctor. Just go to a doctor and get checked out.
By the
way, if it's a hernia, it wasn't because of the lifting. The lifting exacerbated it. It's probably sped it up, but you were going to get it anyway.
You were
going to sneeze hard or cough hard or whatever. People who have hernias, that's a genetic problem.
People get them on the toilet.
If I knew a good surgeon, like if I was friends with a surgeon, and know what I know now, when I had the very first hernia fixed, I would have been like, could you just put like a 9x13 cake pan sheet of mesh from my breastbone to the stem of my dick down there? And would have had, because I have that now, but they're in multiple patches. What are you laughing at?
Stem. I would say the root, not the stem. The root.
Which one's less girthy? That's whichever one I am.
The twig.
I'm the less
twig
girthy one. The twig. You want to wrap it up? Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, and have a Merry Christmas if you haven't already, and a good 2020. Let's kick it off right. Let's be people of action. That thing you've been thinking about doing, be kicking the can on, enough of that shit. It's time to go ahead and do that. Get that job upgrade. Start that business you were thinking about. Get rid of that old lady you hated. Go ahead and ask to get married. Go ahead and get married for that chick you've been dating for 7.5 years.
Yeah, that's a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, it's about
Marriage.
time. It's about time. And for all of you are like, oh, I just don't know if I can have kids in this environment. Well, what if the people during the plague years said that?
That's right.
It ain't that bad. It ain't that bad out there.
No.
Yeah, go get it done.
Did Scott Hamburg just say it ain't that bad?
It ain't
out there?
that bad out there.
Man, look at you. You're having a good day today. You got that's like as Christmas spirity
That's
as you
it.
get.
It ain't that bad out there. I mean, it's really awful. I just compared this to the plague years. I'm just saying the plague
So it doesn't feel that bad now. Right.
It's not
right.
It's not.
All right.
There's nothing out there that's bad enough to keep you from wanting to have a family, for Christ's sake. But
that's right.
I think a lot of people are from families of origin that are so bad. They're like, if that's what family's like, I'm out. Right.
That's not what it has to be. You can set the tone for your family.
You can redo it. All right. There's another Barbell Logic podcast. Please send in your questions to questions@barbell-logic.com, and we will get to yours in somewhere between 60 and 120 days.
That's right. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Talk to you soon.